Hello, I'm Rick Balbound with ACDelco. I want to welcome you here today. Today I want to talk a little bit about power steering servicing tips and some service ideas. At ACDelco, we analyze all of our returned power steering components that have been returned for warranty in an effort to determine root cause failure. In other words, we're trying to determine what actually happened in an effort to improve our product quality. During our analysis, one of the things we see with some of our pumps, racks, and gears that have been returned is damage that may be due to using incorrect or poor quality power steering fluid. Each and every OE manufacturer has specifications for oil and transmission fluid they want used in their vehicles, and power steering fluid is no different. You wouldn't dump in just any engine oil and transmission fluid, would you? Now, OEs have a specific specification on the correct power steering fluid to use, and we're going to look at those for the next couple of minutes. The OEs have spent countless dollars on research and development for their vehicles and make recommendations based on that research. So I want to use the power steering fluid they recommend rather than just choosing something that may be a compromise and not be compatible with the system. Some of these fluids may not have the additives required by the OE, such as friction modifiers, anti-foaming agents, anti-shearing agents, or even be of the correct viscosity. Now, this can cause the power steering system to overheat, damage bushings, bearings, and seals, and also be the cause of many noise conditions. There are no national automotive standards for power steering fluid, so the OEs have set their own standards of fluid to use based on their research and development. But just because power steering fluid says it is compatible or meets OE requirements, you have to ask yourself, which specs does it meet? What does it mean by compatible? The only sure way to know if you have the right fluid is to use the one that says it meets the specific OE specifications. We will show you what some of those specifications are here in just a moment. Now, in the past, automatic transmission fluid was accepted as the correct fluid to use in many power steering systems, but that has all changed for most vehicles. Now, General Motors used to recommend using Dexron ATF, but now only recommends using GM number 8902-0661 or the ACDelco number 10-5030 or equivalent in most of their vehicles. Ford has 2 different fluids depending on the model year. Chrysler has up to 4 different fluids it has recommended for their systems, again, depending on the year and the model. Honda and a few other imports use a specific specification or part number, and many of their fluids are synthetic fluids. As an example, newer Jeeps have a specification of MS-10838 for power steering fluids. But earlier Chryslers used a spec of MS-5931 for pre-1998 vehicles, but post-1998 Chryslers have a spec of MS-9602, which is ATF plus 4, for some, but not all vehicles. Now, MS-11655 is the correct power steering fluid spec to use in a Chrysler hybrid vehicle. Now, Chrysler Service Manual and Technical Service Bulletins also say not to mix the fluids. Ford recommends a spec of ESW-M2C33, which is Mercon 5, for most Ford vehicles built after 1996 or 1998, but still requires a Type F fluid for earlier vehicles. General Motors spec for power steering fluid is 9985010 for most, but not all of their late model vehicles. The point is to be sure to check the service or the owner's manual for the correct OE recommended power steering fluid or specification, and then make sure the fluid you're using meets those requirements. Now, based on what I've just told you, I know it can seem confusing and overwhelming, but I think we can safely say there is no one correct power steering fluid for all makes, models, or years. Read the back of the label and see what specs the fluid meets. If it doesn't say it meets any specific OE spec, is approved by a specific OE, or have the OE part number on it, then I'd be concerned about using that fluid. Using the correct high-quality power steering fluid is important to reducing comebacks. Another item to consider is that some aftermarket power steering fluids may say they contain sealers, conditioners, or cleaning agents to help soften hardened seals and clean the system. But what will this sealer do to the flow control valve and other small parts and orifices? What will a chemical flush agent do to the viscosity of the fluid or the inside of the rubber hoses or seals? Again, most OEs do not recommend or approve the use of any kind of a sealer, chemical flush agent, or conditioner in their power steering systems, as there are a lot of unknowns when using these products. As a matter of fact, there are technical service bulletins from some OEs specifically discouraging doing any kind of a maintenance flush or use of sealers. So, to close this out, let's remember a couple of key items here. Number one, not all power steering fluids are created equal. In most cases, no one power steering fluid fits all. Number two, check the service or owner's manual to make sure you know the correct specification of power steering fluid to use in the vehicle you are servicing. And number three, be aware that some power steering fluids may contain sealers or chemical flush agents. If you have power steering system repair issues such as noise, repeated leaks, and low pressure, think about what kind of power steering fluid you are using. You might find out that by changing to the correct OE recommended fluid spec, you'll reduce your comebacks. The small additional price of the correct fluid is a small price to pay to reduce comebacks and to have satisfied customers. I want to thank you here from ACDelco.